Alright, so I'm going to be teaching you today how to make a pinch pot, like this one, out of clay. So, readjust here. The very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take your ball of clay and you're going to just sit here. And I like to squish it in my hands a little bit. I don't want to flatten it, but I just want to roll it into a ball even more. And the way I sort of think about it is I imagine that I'm trying to ball up a snowball or make a snowball. And once I have my ball of clay, I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to give myself a big thumbs up. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to take with my ball of clay in my other hand, I'm going to stick my thumb into the center of my clay. And I'm going to start pushing down. I'm not going to go all the way through though. So once I start to feel my thumb getting towards the bottom of that clay, I stop. And then I'm going to take my thumb out, and here's my ball of clay. So I have a couple cracks here because this clay is a little dry, and I've been squishing it in my hands a lot. The more you handle your clay, it dries out and it can crack. That's no problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a spray bottle, and I'm going to do one little spray. There we go. You don't need a lot of water. If you use too much water, what will happen is your clay will start to break down and you end up with slip. So I'm just going to really quickly, before I start, smooth out any of my cracks. If you do it now before you start pinching, you won't have as much of an issue with cracking later. You might still have to repair some cracks as you go, but it's always easier to do things as you're working, like smooth cracks out as you work, rather than wait till the end. So now that I've got my hole in the center, I'm going to pretend like I've got my little lobster claw here, and I'm going to stick the thumb of my lobster claw back inside that hole, and then I'm going to start pinching. And as I pinch, I'm turning the pot over. I'm just turning it around and pinching. So then the other thing to keep in mind when you're making a pinch pot, depending on how you hold your hand. So if you hold your hand straight up and you pinch like this, the walls of your clay pot are going to go straight up. If you pinch with your hand kind of pointing out, your walls are going to go out. And if you do it pointing in, your walls are going to go in. So I'm going to try and do mine as straight up as possible. So I'm holding my hand as straight as I possibly can while I pinch. And while I pinch, I am taking my time to make sure, oops, okay, look at that, my cracks. I'm getting some cracks on this, the top of my pot. Before I go any further, I want to just quickly spray that again, not being careful to not use too much. And then I'm just going to start rubbing in and compressing those cracks, or rubbing those cracks until they're gone and smooth. And I'm not using a lot of pressure. It's like I'm petting a caterpillar or something. You don't need to really push on it that hard to get it to do what you want it to. And the same goes for when I'm pinching the sides of my clay pot. I don't need to pinch really hard to get it to go very far. So very light pinches. It's a very gentle lobster. And once I'm done, I like to sort of take so that's pretty good. My walls are a little thin, but they're not too thin. So I'm not afraid my pot's gonna collapse on me. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just gently tap, 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 tap to flatten the bottom. And then I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna take my wooden modeling tool, and I'm going to write my name, Miss Pap. And that is how you make a pinch pot.